when the colony ship broke apart in the upper sky. Ilias Ward was 12 years old. He remembered light, white, blinding, endless. He remembered his mother's hand gripping his shoulder. He remembered the sound of metal tearing, then silence. His escape pod crashed into the stone spine of Verix 9's northern range. The impact shattered the pod's stabilizers and buried half the hull in snow dust and violet gravel. He woke alone. The sky above him shimmered pale silver beneath the unstable star. The planet had breathable air, but it burned the throat. The gravity was lighter than Earth. The horizon felt too wide. His parents' pod never transmitted a signal. Ilias waited 3 days. Beside the wreckage, no one came. On the 4th day, he climbed. The mountain range rose in layers of dark basalt and iron-rich stone. It was dry, cold, and silent. The wildlife of Verix 9 did not climb high. The wind did not howl here. It whispered. He found a natural overhang and sheltered beneath it. He salvaged tools from the pod. A portable plasma cutter, a mining hammer, 2 fusion cores, emergency rations. The lowland survivors gathered near the main crash zone, 30 kilometers away. They built shelters from debris. They named the place Haven's Reach. A search team found Ilias 2 weeks later. He was cutting into the mountain. "You'll freeze up here," they told him. He shook his head. "Come back with us," they urged. He looked at the sky instead of them. The star pulsed faintly, too faint for alarm. But he had read the colony briefings during transit. Verix 9 orbited an unstable yellow dwarf. Solar flare risk was elevated. The colonists had planned surface shielding, surface, not stone. "I'm staying," he said. They left him a beacon, an extra. Rations. He never activated the beacon. Year 1 was survival. He carved a doorway large enough to stand inside, then large enough to lie down, then large enough to store supplies. The plasma cutter hummed day after day. When its energy ran low, he switched to the hammer. Strike. Pause. Strike. Strike. He studied the stone as he worked. It was dense but layered. Veins of crystal ran through it like frozen lightning. He learned where to cut and where to avoid. Snowmelt from upper ridges seeped through cracks. He redirected it into channels he carved along the floor. He built a crude reservoir. He planted nutrient fungus from his emergency kit in shallow, warmed pockets near geothermal fissures he discovered deeper inside. He did not cry often. When he did, he carved harder. By the end of the 1st year, the doorway had become a hall, 40 meters tall, 30 meters wide. The ceiling arched upward in a smooth curve shaped by patience, not machinery. Pillars lined the sides, left intentionally thick for support. The colonists visited twice that year. They were struggling. Crops in Haven's Reach grew poorly in the mineral-thin soil. Radiation spikes from minor solar activity disrupted electronics. Morale dropped. Why build this? The council leader asked him, standing beneath the unfinished arch. For when it comes, he replied. When what comes? He did not answer. Year 2 changed him. His body stretched taller. His voice steadied. His movements slowed into efficiency. He rationed his strength. He expanded the hall deeper into the mountain and angled a corridor downward until the temperature shifted. Warm air, geothermal heat. He smiled. For the first time in months, he carved chambers. along the warm rock and placed turbines salvaged from his pod along natural steam vents. The turbines were simple, mechanical, no delicate circuits exposed to the sky. They spun and fed stored batteries inside shielded stone alcoves. He built an air shaft that curved upward through a narrow spiral he carved by hand. The shaft filtered air through layered stone and crystal mesh. The carvings began in year 2, not decoration. Data. He mapped the sky every night. He tracked solar surface fluctuations using the pod's damaged but partially functional sensor array. He projected flare cycles. He etched the calculations into stone across the ceiling. He also carved stars. The constellations were not Earth's, they were. Varex 9's Haven's Reach lost 12 people that winter too. Sickness and exposure. The council came again. You're 14, the leader said softly. You should not be alone. I'm not. Elias said. He placed his hand against the stone wall. The leader did not. Understand year 3 began with warnings. The star's surface activity spiked beyond recorded projections. Elias recalculated. The numbers did not settle. They climbed. The flare would be catastrophic. He walked to Haven's Reach for the first time in nearly a year. The settlement looked fragile. Metal shelters patched with polymer sheeting. Hydroponic rigs exposed beneath shielding nets. Children thin but alive. You have to move, he told the council. Move where? Someone asked bitterly. He looked toward the mountains. The council hesitated. Moving 200 people was not simple. Supplies were limited. Time was uncertain. Then the sky flashed. It was not yet the main event. Just a precursor wave. But every electronic system in Haven's Reach flickered. That decided it. They began the climb. It took 2 days to relocate everyone to the mountain base. Elias directed them inside through the vast stone doors he had finished weeks earlier. The doors pivoted on mechanical joints carved from the mountain itself and reinforced with alloy ribs from the ship wreckage. Inside, the temperature remained steady. The air was clean. Murmurs of disbelief echoed beneath the high ceiling. You built this, someone whispered. Elias did not respond. He guided families deeper into side chambers where bedding platforms had been carved from stone and insulated with fabric, salvaged from cargo pods. 3 hours after the last supply crate was hauled inside, the sky erupted. The main flare struck. White light poured across the land. Electromagnetic shockwaves rolled through the atmosphere. Haven's Reach vanished in a shimmer of fire and ionized air. Inside the mountain, the doors sealed. No electronics were exposed. The mechanical systems continued to turn. The turbines hummed. Water flowed. Air circulated. The mountain did not tremble. For 12 days the flare battered the planet. Radiation levels outside climbed into lethal range. Lightning storms raged across the plains. Stone fused into glass. Inside, children slept. Adults wept quietly from relief. They studied the carved ceiling while they waited. They began to understand the markings. Solar cycles. Protective depths. Calculations etched with obsessive precision. You predicted this, the council leader said. I predicted the pattern, Elias replied. Not the exact moment. On the 13th day the radiation curve began to fall. On the 15th it stabilized. Elias insisted they wait until the 18th before reopening the doors. He was correct again. A secondary flare lashed the surface on the 16th day, weaker but deadly, when the doors finally opened. The lowlands were black. Haven's reach was gone. No, one spoke. They did not rebuild there, they rebuilt here. The mountain became bastion. Work teams expanded chambers under Ilios' direction. They reinforced support pillars. They deepened water reservoirs. They created agricultural terraces inside warm caverns using artificial lighting powered by geothermal turbines. Life moved inward. Months later, deep scans revealed anomalies beneath Bastion's lowest level. Dense material not matching natural basalt. Ilios led the excavation. They uncovered metal older than humanity. An alien lattice woven through the mountain's core. Structural reinforcement designed to withstand stellar radiation events. Energy channels long dormant but intact. The mountain had been prepared before by someone else. Long gone, Elias ran his hand across the smooth alien. Alloy, they knew, he said quietly. Engineers integrated the alien framework into Bastion's systems. Power output tripled. Shielding improved. Structural stability became absolute. Word spread through distant colonies of a world that survived a stellar purge. Trade ships arrived years later, expecting ruins. They found a fortress carved into living stone. Elias was 19 when the first off-world delegation stood beneath the carved ceiling. You were a child, one of them said in disbelief after hearing the story. I was alone. Elias corrected gently. He no longer looked like the boy who crashed in snow dust. He carried himself with calm certainty. His hands still bore faint scars from the hammer. The unstable star flickered again. Years later, this time Bastion did not close in fear. Its doors remained open until the last possible moment, welcoming scattered settlements across the continent. Hundreds entered, then thousands. The flare struck. The mountain held. Afterward, Varix 9 was no longer seen as a failed colony site. It was seen as proof that preparation outlasts panic, proof that humanity does not wait for rescue. The alien builders had seeded the mountain with strength. A human boy had completed the design, standing at the entrance one evening, watching the pale star dip behind the horizon. The old council leader joined Elias. You never left, she said. No, he answered. Why? He looked at the carved pillars rising like joined hands toward the ceiling. Because stone doesn't run, he said. Below them, Bastion thrived. Farms glowed with steady light. Water flowed clear. Children raced along carved corridors, laughing. The mountain was no longer silent. It was alive. Elias had lost his family in fire. He had answered by carving safety from rock. And when the universe tested, Varix 9 again, humanity did not beg for mercy. It stepped inside the mountain and endured. Asterisk,